Now, study materials for CCNA security certification. So it's going to be this class, of course. We highly recommend this class. It's going to be focused on theory and examples. Now, our focus in here at INE is not only to, of course, show you the methodology to learn, but also show you, of course, technologies, but mostly show you how things lively work. Because from a book you don't get that knowledge. From a book you just read something and you don't see how things work lively. From from certain other videos of vendors, they cover the topics, from a high level point of view. They don't get to a bit of detail to try to give you more than what a regular book does. So the scope of any of our classes, and especially my classes, alongside other scopes, one of the scopes is basically to give you more input than is actually technically required at that level. So you see a different approach of learning and a different level of the technologies as opposed to other sources in there. So there's this class which is focused on technologies. It is called the Security Technologies course. It's focused on how things work and also live examples of the ones that we can test easily. I'm not saying that the ones that are more complicated, we're not going to use it. But as I was saying, we cannot implement a CEM in a CCNA class. It's going to take me like 8 hours to just pop up install the CM, put the sources in the network, install the sources, send traffic in the network, gain some reports, and then show you the results. It doesn't make sense. It's not doable within a 5 or 4 days class. Then afterwards is going to be the CCNA Security Bootcamp course, which has been done already. It has been recorded likewise, and it has been posted already, as far as I'm aware, in our library, which that's going to be a different overview of the same content we covered this week. That class is called the Bootcamp because it's mainly focused on examples and on implementation. It's going to be in that class is pretty much no slides at all, just configuration examples and theory and drawing. Then of course, because in general, one of the other mistakes that a lot of us do is that we go and let's say I want to start the security track, or you would want to start the data center track, or the collaboration track, or the wireless track, and we jump straight to that track. We jump to the CCNA level of wireless or whatever, or the CCNA level of security. Now, my recommendation to you is that if you want to become an expert in DC, security, voice, collaboration, whatever, first of all, before you go on that side, on that track, you should first build solid, reliable routing and switching knowledge, which doesn't only mean to get at least CCNP certified, because at a CCNP level, if you're going to move on about CCNP level of routing and switch, you're going to agree with me that at the CCNP level you don't actually know as much as you believe you know, technology speaking. So you need to have solid minimum CCNP level knowledge, not only by reading but also practicing, because as also Cisco states in their official courses, is basically security, data center, wireless, collaboration, video, voice. It is services running on top of a routing and switching functional network. So basically, first of all, the core of the network is routing and switching. Then I can add security features, security technologies, collaboration technologies, wireless technologies. So if you don't know routing and switching, how they work, pretty good, actually not decent, but pretty good, you're never going to be able to troubleshoot a problem. Because for example, if you look here at the diagram, let's pick any of the logical diagrams. Like let's say I'm gonna build a remote access VPN of type IPsec between TestPCA and ASA3. So TestPCA is gonna be, this guy is gonna be my VPN client. Well, this guy is gonna be my VPN gateway. And let's say you configure both of them as best as you know, as you read from the books, or even as you implemented couple of times before doing it again. So this could be like, this is like your third, fourth, fifth, or 10th VPN implementation, which technically speaking is the same concepts, but it doesn't work. And then what you do, you look at the VPN client configuration, you look at the VPN gateway configuration, maybe you know some show debug commands, and if it doesn't work, you're pretty much done. Why is that? Because basically you have no idea what happens in the transit path. Like you have no idea how the packet flows between PCA to router 2, so to router 2, then to router 3, and then to the SA. So you have to know what happens to the packet as it flows in there, especially if any of those devices like router 3 also has a iOS zone-based policy firewall implementation. Zone-based policy firewall. You gotta know exactly how the packet travels from A to B and be able to identify, to be able to make sure that the packet is actually routable. Because in the end, the problem can be, like let's take this use case. So if this was the case that your VPN was not working, for example, then of course first step would be to make sure that one, your configuration is correct on both the VPN gateway and the VPN client. So that has to be correct. You need to know the proper show commands to verify that your configuration is functional. Second, you gotta be able to investigate any kind of control plane CP control plane issues. Like maybe the VPN gateway, which is ASA3, receives the packet from the VPN client, but has some kind of control plane filtering, which basically drops the packet. It doesn't let the packet to be processed by the ASA. So control plane issues can be in general at both the source and the destination, because you may have a side-to-side VPN tunnel between two VPN gateways, and then you never know which of those two sides is dropping the control plane packets, which is going to be the negotiation of the IPsec tunnel, which is going to be the IKE protocol, for example. So you need to know the proper show commands to verify any of the technologies which can be built on those VPN gateways that can actually affect the control plane, which is going to affect the VPN tunnel because it cannot negotiate properly. Then if you have passed that level, then third, you need to be able to troubleshoot any kind of transit problems. Basically, you need a way to investigate if packet which is sent from test PCA actually reaches the SA. You gotta be able to identify with proper show commands, and by knowing which technologies are built in transit, because you may have in transit a DHCP snooping configured, ARP inspection, STP BPD guard, zone-based firewall. So you gotta be able to understand as packet flows from PCA to ASA3. First of all, will those implemented features allow the packet to flow successfully to the destination? And if yes, do those features affect the packet? Like, because you may have a NAT device in between that's going to change the IP header, which may affect your VPN tunnel negotiation process. So you have to be able to visualize, if you want to be an expert and be able to troubleshoot technologies, you have to be able to visualize the packet end to end and know exactly what happens as packet flows between devices. So as packet leaves the source, and before it reaches the destination, any of the touch devices, switches, routers, access points, files is going to pass through. You got to know how those devices will affect the packet, and can those devices actually forward the packet further, and the proper show commands to validate that. Because otherwise, if you cannot do that, it's like you're in blind. You have configured your job at the source and the destination, but then you're done. Because you don't know how to investigate, because you have no idea what happens in between. So then it's going to be, as I was saying, the routing and switching preparation videos. And why not, if you want to get into more details, you can actually go and watch our CCNA security bootcamp or advanced technologist courses, or even CCNA security videos, if you want to gain let's say a broader overview and maybe a deeper overview of some of the topics in the blueprint. And of course, additional materials which is going to be book reading and Cisco documentation. We're going to speak about a couple of those in here.